When writing equations from word problems, if you're just translating algebraic sentences, it is pretty straightforward, and all you really need to do is take the important keywords and translate them into algebra. So if you look at number one says the difference between 12 and 2/3 of a number is 18. Well, if I go through that sentence, the word "the" has no algebraic meaning. The word difference means subtract, so I'm going to put a subtraction sign up on top of the word difference. Between does not really have any algebraic meaning. The number 12 I'm going to need. The word "and" is a no. The number 2/3 I need. 2/3 of a number means multiplied by a number, but in this case, the number we're going to use the variable m. Is means equals, and the number 18 also needs to be translated. If you look at my work up above that sentence, you'll notice that the minus sign is in the wrong place. If I'm subtracting or taking the difference between 12 and 2/3 of a number, the subtraction sign actually needs to go in between the two. So when we write our final answer, it needs to say 12 minus 2/3. Now I'm going to drop the multiplication symbol and just put the letter m there, equals 18. And it does not ask me to solve. All it does is say translate, so I can stop my work there. I'm going to jump over to number 4 here, where it says 8 less than, and I'm going to box that because that word triggers something in my mind, and it triggers that I need to flip the order of what it says. So it says 8 less than 3 times a number is -23. So if I go ahead and translate into my work, the word 8 translates to be the number 8. Less than means minus. 3 times a number we're going to write as 3m. I don't need the multiplication symbol in between. That's understood. Is means equals, and then it equals -23. Now, the word less than makes me remember that I need to take what I'm subtracting and flip it from the order that it was given to me in. So my algebra needs to say 3m minus 8 equals -23. So when you're just translating algebraic sentences, you just take the words that are given to you, convert them into what algebra it is. So like difference means subtract. More than means addition. Increase by means addition. Quotient means division. So depending on what the important words are in the problem, you need to translate that into algebra. If we look at the actual word problems that have a story behind them, we'll look at number 1. It says you buy 3 books that each cost the same amount in a magazine. So I'm going to underline 3 books in a magazine, all for $55. You know that the magazine costs $1. That's important. How much does each book cost? So step number 1 would be to after underlining or highlighting your important information, your goal is to define a variable. So my goal is to find how much does each book cost. So I'm going to let B equal the cost or the money of a book. Now, since I'm talking money, I know that I'm going to have a total amount. I have a total amount of money that I spent. Well, what did I purchase for that total amount? I bought 3 books and I bought a magazine. So if I start by writing the words, I can easily translate that into algebra. 3 books is 3b. Drop down the plus sign. I know that the magazine cost $1 because I underlined that, equals my total amount of money, which was $55. Since it is asking how much does each book cost, I am going to need to solve this equation. So my first step would be to subtract 1 on both sides. The 1's cancel and I get 3b equals 54. When I divide both sides by 3, the 3's cancel, and I get b is equal to 18. Because this is a word problem, make sure you label, and it is $18. If I look at a problem that we did on the back, say for example number 6, it says membership at the health club is $15 per month plus $10 for each exercise class taken. So I'm going to underline the $15 per month, the $10 for each exercise class. Jill paid $75 for the month of September. Write and solve an equation to find the number of exercise classes Jill took in September. So this is money again, so that I know that this is going to equal my total amount of money. What did I pay for that total amount of money? Well, I bought a membership and I bought exercise classes. Now, I need to define a variable. My unknown is the amount of, or the number of exercise classes. So I'm going to let n be the number of classes. Once I've defined my variable and I wrote out my equation in words, I can then take that equation and put it into algebra. So I know that she paid $15 for her membership, and I know that she also pays $10 per exercise class. Her total amount of money she spent in September was $75. Now it does tell me to write and solve an equation, so I'm going to draw my vertical line. I need to get rid of this 15 first, so I'm going to subtract 15 on both sides. Since it cancels, I drop down my 10n equals $60. And then I divide both sides, not 50. Then I divide both sides by 10. And I get that my number of classes that I took were 6. So when you go about writing word problems, always start by highlighting important information in the problem. From there, make sure you define a variable. Once you have the variable, write out in words what the equation needs to look like. Plug in the numbers that we know and solve. I could do one more with you. I'll do number 3 with you. Number 3 says the current temperature is 54 degrees. It is expected to rise 2.5 degrees each hour. In how many hours will the temperature be 84 degrees? So my current question is how many hours. So I'm going to let H be my number of hours. And then if I were to write in words what the equation needs to look like, it's going to be the current temperature plus $2.5 degrees per hour is equal to my total amount of degrees that I'm waiting for it to be. When I go ahead and translate that, my current temperature is 54 degrees. I am adding 2.5 degrees each hour, so that would be 2.5h, and that equals my total amount of degrees I want it to be, which is 84. Because it's asking how many specific hours, I need to solve that equation. So I am going to subtract 54 from both sides. 54's cancel, and I bring down my 2.5h equals 84 minus 54 is 30. And then I want to divide both sides by 2.5, and I get that h is equal to, give me 1 second, 12. So 12 what? Because it is a word problem, 12 hours.